Hey guys, I'm going to give you a little walkthrough about how to install Leaflet and use really cool maps and themes. Instead of doing it live, I'm going to just use a PowerPoint, and this will be recorded. If you have any questions, just send them my way. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna switch now and to my screen share. And oh, wait, yeah. Mm, yeah. See. It is. All right, so the goal is to end up with maps like this that have polygons and they are slippy, high resolution, and feature a little bit this particular case where your data set locations where the data for your data set will have been collected. All right. Here's kind of a little bit of the overview. First, I'm going to make the case. I'm going to show you the DEIMS default dataset display, and you're going to see a dataset with several locations. And we're going to tell a little bit how to use the well-known text. Then we'll walk you through the requisites to have this feature working with DEIMS. And then in the process of building this feature, we'll create a view, we'll create also a block field, and then we manage a little bit the data set display. That's kind of what we are going to do. So first, to make the case, here is an instance of DEIMS that is just plain DEIMS, vanilla, where we have populated a number of data sets, and also we have created a number of research locations which are related to this data set. So here on the right bottom of the screen, you see related, and you see kind of codes that correspond to locations where this data set has been conducted. Okay, so here is in more detail what those list of locations. Here are linked, or these are just links to the actual locations where you just get a more comprehensive description of those locations. But what we want to do is create a better data set display layout that actually shows a map where you would have, the polygons corresponding to those locations where this data set has been collected, right? So we want to have maybe even a pop-up that would just describe the feature you can select in your slippy map. So that's kind of the goal. But before we go into that, I want you to understand a little tweak that I had to do. So in the coordinates field that we use for describing locations, it's called it's a type geofield in Drupal 7. You can do polygons and many different features, but one way to do so is using the widget type that is called well-known text. For those of you who do not know what the well-known text is, I encourage you to visit the wiki page for well-known text, and you'll have some examples that allow you to encode different geometries. Here it is. The important thing to know is that each geometry is represented by a series of consecutive points, and the longitude goes before the latitude. Okay, so those are the two things to keep in mind. You will have to go to your field coordinates administration page and change the widget to the well-known text widget for this. And here would be a particular example of a form where you enter details about a polygon to describe a location of a feature. So in this case, in this site, to use research site, in this location, you'll need to paste in all this big polygon. All right, so having made that thing, let's move on to how to render this as a nice map of features. So there are a few requisites, right? You need to have, I'm assuming that you have DEIMS installed, right? And I'm assuming that in this DEIMS instance, you have a number of data sets and locations related to these data sets. Okay. And optionally, it's not mandatory, but Drush makes things easier. So if you have Drush and you are comfortable with the command line, that will help a lot. All right, so let's just fire it up and let's go with how do we set up Leaflet. So first, you need to download it, right? The library is right there at that link. Is leafletjs.com. Go to downloads and see the latest version at the time of this presentation is 0.7.5. And you need two modules that are wrapper for this library and Drupal, and one is Leaflet and the other is Leaflet More Maps. The second, the Leaflet More Maps, gives you access to like, for example, the high-res Google Maps and people. How do you get the library? Well, if you're using the command line, you can use wget or curl to download the library, like in this case, but you can also go there and download it. And then once you have it, you unzip it, and the contents of this library, or sorry, this package, is zip file, you are going to have to move them to your libraries folder. So for example, if you're in the command line in Unix, you will just create a directory called leaflet under the profiles, themes, libraries module folder that will be under the themes root. And then you will move those images and leaflet files that you just unpack into that folder. So you can do that also with, using the interface. It's just, a little Explorer or other means. If you don't need to use it. Let's assume that you move those to those libraries into the proper folder. The next thing is let's download the Leaflet Drupal Complete modules. You can just know that destination flag that is relevant for themes. So just put DL as in download, and then / destination equal to profiles / themes / message / contrib, and I'm that followed by leaflet and leaflet more maps. So I'm downloading these two modules in one shot. But you can do it manually. You can go to those project pages and get the modules, unwrap them, and put them in the contrib folder. All that manually. Just makes that in super fast. Then you have to enable the modules. You can again use drush en as enable, and then you enable actually 3 modules: the leaflet maps, and the leaflet views, which is part of the leaflet. Or you can do this manually by visiting the modules page in your themes instance, and you can filter by leaflet, and you will have the 3 modules that I said: leaflet maps, and leaflet views. Leaflet views is important because you will create a plugin that we will use with views. Once you have enabled those modules, then we have done half the work according to this outline. We made the case of what we want to do. We have the requisites, the prerequisites completed. Now, the next thing we want to do is, what we really want to do is create a map of the locations that are associated with the data set. So intuitively, what you really want is just a little block in the dataset display that contains that map, which is showing just those locations that is inheriting by the context of the dataset that we are displaying, right? And we do that using Leaflet. And so for that, we'll just add a view, create a block view, and then tinker a little bit with display. So here's what we want. We want to go from the display on the left to the display on the right. Note that block has changed. So first, let's add a block view. This is when you go to admin structure /view/add, you get to this form that allows you to add a view just in one step. We actually going to use more than one step. First, let's populate the view, this form. I'm going to call it maps of locations for a data set. And the content is, I'm going to show content of any type and sort it. And I'm going to uncheck the create page. And instead of, I'm going to check the create a block. And the format for this block is of the type leaflet. And also, I don't want to restrict to just 5 sites or 5 items. I'm going to make an unlimited number of items by putting a 0. Once you're done with that, then you continue and edit, and you will come up with this display with a GUI for videos. This is kind of the final goal. You're going to have something that looks like this. It's kind of complex. So let me walk one by one the items in this interface. First, I'm going to start by the contextual filters. So you know that we want to create a block map, a little mapping block that it's aware of the data set that we are displaying, right? And so for that, I'm going to add a contextual filter, and I'm going to select the content node ID or NID. And once I do that, I'll get to a screen where there's the settings for that filter, that contextual filter we just added. And what I'm going to say is when the filter value is not available, I'm going to provide a default value, which is going to be the content ID from the URL. So basically, when we are displaying this view, the data is going to become aware of which data set, because it's going to grab the ID of the data set from the URL. Okay, so just do this. Then another important piece is that we only want to show the locations that are related to the data set that we are seeing, right? So for that, we need to add a relationship, right? And so here in the GUI is the relationship, and you are going to add a relationship. And what you need to get is the field that is called content entity reference from field related sites here in the second one. So once you add that field in the relationship, then the defaults, you don't need to change them. Just click apply down there in the bottom. And the next thing that we are going to do, we're going to go to the left side of the GUI, and right there what we are going to do is add a couple of fields. So what we want to do is, what is that we want to display? We want to display the polygons themselves, the coordinates on the map, and kind of the name that represents that polygon or that marker, right? So the title of the research site and the related site, and the coordinates, those 2 fields. When you add the fields in the settings of the fields, make sure that you use the relationship that we just added. So we don't add all the sites that we have in the database, in DEIMS, we just add those that belong to that data set, right? So once you've done that, you can apply row displays, and then we move to the last piece, which is how do we render this query, right? In source of this query, how do we display this? So in the format, usually by default you will have unformatted. It might have leaflet map by now. If you have unformatted, click on unformatted and select leaflet map. Otherwise, just click on the settings, and here on the right, you'll see the settings that I'd like you to pick up. So in the data source, we want to say content coordinates, the field that contains the geodata. In the title of the pop-up, you'll pick the title, likewise in the description content. And also, you can tinker with other settings. For example, I put the Google satellite with zooms from 0 to 21. In order to get to 21, you might have or might not have to edit a little bit the library and change the property max zoom that ranges from 0 to, so sorry, to, that usually the limit is 18, change it to 21 to take advantage of the latest maps from Google, right, the latest resolution. So that you might have to do that. If you have questions about it, just email. Once you have specified the settings as I show you in this slide for the leaflet map, all you need to do is save the view. And so at the top right, you'll see a save button. Don't forget to save it. All right. So we already seen how to add a view that takes an argument from the context of the page, and furthermore, it only shows research sites that are related to with a given data set, and it renders them as a living net. All right. So there is two more things that we need to do to complete this task. One is creating a block field. I mean, you can render this. You can use other methods. What I use is this. It's using display suite module that is already included in DEIMS. I'm going to create a block field. There are several ways to do that. One is you use the top menu as an admin, and in the structure you go to display suite, and then you go to fields, and then you go to add block field. Or alternatively, you can go to any content type and do the manage display of a content type. And at the bottom, you'll see in the vertical menu custom fields, and then you see here the add block field. So you can click there. I made a note that if you don't see this option, it's possible that you don't have in your DEIMS instance the display suite extras. So if that is the case, just make it before you can get to this step. All right, so once you add a block field, you will get a form like this. To give it a nice, reasonable title, I'm gonna walk through this. For example, I'm naming this field map of sites of a given data set. Right? I mean, it might not be super accurate, but semantically, it just might capture what we want to do with this. And the entities that are going to use this field, in this case, is just the node entity. And I'm going to limit which entity or which nodes can use this display, in this case, just the data set. And last, the most important thing probably is this block. I'm going to select the view that we just created. So as you can see, is the view maps of locations related to a data set. We pick up that view, which is going to be shown in this block field. And last, I only need to see actually the block content and map. I don't need a title for this block. And then hit save, right? So we're already done with creating a block field. So we have the view, the block field that is going to bring up this block view, and finally, in order to make use of this field, we are going to have to tinker with the data set display. Okay, specifically, we're going to change we're going to hide the related sites field that we have, and instead of that, we are going to show the field block that we just made. All right. How to manage the data set display? You have two options. One, well, you have many options. So I'm going to show you a couple. One is you go to the structure in the top menu, content types, data set, and manage display. Right? And click there. And the other option is just get any data set, as an admin, just click on any data set that you might have, and then click on the manage display menu or item there. Okay, you'll get to a form that looks like this. So you see on the top, you'll have all the breadcrumbs to where you are and actually the manage display, and you'll have many different displays that are associated with data sets. We're gonna tinker with the default, and that's why it's highlighted, the default display as a display. And you will see that you have um, like about 4 different aspects, like the field itself, the region where the field appears, the label, if any, and the format of this field. So, and right at the very bottom, you will see also the layout used for by this default display. In this case, is a column stack, a fluid stack. All right, so this is kind of like a little walkthrough through these dataset display. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to go to the related group, and in the related group we have the related sites that just displayed a list of the locations associated with this data set, and I'm going to remove it. And I can do this in 2 different ways. I can grab the star, the little cross here, and drag it all the way to the disabled area, or I can, in the pull down of the region, the second column, in this pull down where it says right, I can select disable, and then and after that, save. Okay, and then we'll come back to the same form, and likewise, we're gonna go to the disabled area, and we'll see there that we have the block field that we just created, which is the map of sites of a given data set. It's marked appropriately. You can drag it all the way up to where the previous field that we just disabled was, in the right area under the related group, or just select the region right and then drag. Okay, after you are done with that, save it, and then we are pretty much done. We are now ready to see the new maps instead of those list of locations. The new map with all the locations when they're in the native form, later with polygons and markers like line strings. So what we've learned here is a few things. We have learned how to install a module, how to install a third-party library in DEIMS, and also we have learned a little bit about the GeoField's well-known text widget. Then we also learn how to create a block view that takes a contextual argument and uses a constraint, a relationship constraint, and it renders a couple of fields in, a leaflet map display. Yeah. Then we finally also learn how to use display suite to create a block field and how to manage a little bit of content type layer, specifically for data set display. If that was all, I'm going to make these slides available as well, and just call me or email me if you need something.